Yeah, I agree, I understand. Our next meeting, though, the September meeting is on 9/11.
Would that give you enough time to wait then to?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we'll get on that.
I'm good to wait till September, y'all.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I agree. So we're gonna have to come with the mind that we gotta make a decision on.
Yeah,
Okay,
and I'll see what all else I can get.
all right.
Next thing up on my, is tomorrow, obviously, it's first day of school. Chief and I have got together, he's got all three areas, we've talked with the sheriff's department. We're gonna help the high school still, correct, we're gonna help direct traffic to high school, so we'll have DMV intersection, elementary school and primary school for this week. Cover direct traffic, so everybody knows about that, and we've got that.
Morning and evening,
I'm sorry. We will have
when
a
school
morning.
starts and when it ends.
Yes, now, the DMV in the evening, we switch. We're not out here in the evenings, we're back on the backside of Pruner in the evenings. Because in the mornings, the problem is the bus is trying to get out and go to the school. Well, in the evenings, the problem is the bus is trying to get around Pruner because of the cars parked on Connection. So we'll still have DMV covered in the evenings, but we won't be on Main Street. We'll be back in Pruner.
They're turning off on Main
That's the
Street
way, that's
instead of trying to get on.
But we're gonna, okay,
Does that make sense?
yeah, we're having coverage though.
Yes, it'll be
First
covered.
week of school and maybe later until we get it lined
Well-
out.
DMV and LMS will be covered throughout the entire
Every day.
school year, every day.
All right.
And the primary school will be covered in the evenings every day. We typically just do the mornings at primary the first week or two,
All
until
right.
we get the traffic pattern.
Until we get everybody
Yeah.
all the parents who drop kids off get settled in.
Yeah,
Until all the new parents realize they can put them on the bus.
exactly. Yeah, but, the two hotspots, LMS and DMV or DMV/Pruner will be covered morning and evening throughout the year.
Very good.
Thanks, Chief.
That's good. Very good.
And with that, I just got an email today, piggybacking on the DMV, or the intersection at the elementary and middle school. We got an email back from VDOT, our application was accepted and funded for the lights, flashing lights, pedestrian signs, so we applied for it last year for there in the old mill park. But they're doing the engineering on that right now, just started it this week. So we should be able to hear back from them as far as when they're planning to start on that. Some of the project updates I have, I know you all had asked about the LEOs and the fire study last week. The LEOs, I had included that into a manager's report a couple weeks back, the LEOs price that they had asked about.
I got a letter, or I got something in my mail.
That
seen it. I saw it up there.
I don't think I saw.
it was attached to one of the manager's reports probably 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
2
On
weeks
the
ago.
one of the Friday reports.
His, yeah, managers, it was an attachment.
And I can't remember the exact number, I can go back and look it up on my computer.
Millions.
It was 1.2 million, maybe. The LEOs, the fire study is also updated. We have a meeting with them September 18th, a remote meeting, and an on-site meeting October 17th. So they started, got a new agency that's doing that. Seems like they've switched 2 or 3 times since we had
Since
it.
COVID.
We had one on-site meeting,
Yeah.
and they started the study
Yeah.
a couple years ago, and then everyone
He
left,
left,
and
so-
turned over. Our valve that we had failed a couple weeks ago ended up being a pinhole in a bladder that closes that valve and was leaking and not letting the valve close. By researching that though, we found the problem with the Cleveland PRV valve was letting through more water pressure than what we thought and what it was reading. So with that, we could have possibly found kind of a blessing in disguise reason for some of our leaks. The pressure systems pressurized more than what we thought. So
You
both
talking
of
about
those,
like here on Main Street?
probably, yeah, both of those have been fixed. Not promising, but it was definitely letting through more pressure than what we were reading in the plan.
Very good.
Both of those have been fixed, and Tim Taylor has provided Chris Dye with a parts list for SCADA alarm systems, where we can get an alarm to myself, Hank, Billy, and all the water plant operators if we have a low pressure or a low level in the tank.
Drew, do you think that's the issue on Edston? over Cliffside Drive where we had like
It can be,
blowouts at the same, like they're almost the same.
it can be
locations?
anywhere, if that whole system's getting pressurized, not just that
Okay.
system, but any other, if it's getting more pressure, it can be. But Pittston was, one time it was a blowout, the other time it was a test run for trying to get pressure in town view, that happened. So when Chris gets that material list, Tim Taylor has said, it'll be September before we get here. So we are continuing to turn that valve on and off manually right
Right,
now,
this September.
before Tim Taylor gets here to look at this alarm system.
What about the damage to Pete, bladder that you said?
It's been, yeah, it's
It's
been
replaced.
replaced, but
Okay.
just for, until we get a system now,
Yeah,
that alarm is, we're turning it off manually each
Okay.
day after operations, just so if it
Yeah.
does fail, it's still off. Keith called me today, asked about a question for the Veterans Park. We're starting that Wednesday. He had a question, and the guy, so we're replacing it with granite on the top. And he asked if we would like for the granite to be flipped upside down, so the shiny black on the top is on the bottom, or if you want it upwards and the black is on the top. If that makes sense. So the back side of the granite is a chalkier white color. It's not
It's not polished.
polished on both sides.
Polish sounds better on top.
So
What
you,
do you say?
Well, you'd have to
when you
be
look up at it,
7 foot tall to.
yeah, when you look up, when
You
you
can't
see
see
the
it.
tops, it's probably coming down the hill, is the only time you can see the top. And he did say that we could do a sealant that would bring a little bit of color out, and he would rather do it if it was flipped over and the dark on the bottom.
And the top won't be porous, right? Top of that grant's not porous.
You mean,
Not porous with open pores and.
To let water
If it's
out.
silver,
no, not gonna seal it, yeah, that's the thing, best thing, if you turn it over, just seal the top of it, put a seal on. Plus, when you seal it, it'll bring some of that color out.
How much overhang
What's
are we
key?
talking about?
4 inches.
So 4 inches overhang over top of the actual structure itself.
how high is it? It's not 7 foot quite, is it?
It's taller than him, that's why I asked him how tall it was, he said it was taller than him. That's what-
so what, tell us again what he's recommending.
He didn't know either way, he was, that's why he said.
That's why he's asking
That's why he's
us.
asking you all, but I think if you're gonna, he did say if you're gonna seal it, his recommendation would be bottom side up, because it's easier to seal when it's all flat.
Let me ask you this, and this may be a question for Keith, but if you take the polished side and you turn it upside down, what's gonna actually bite the wall to hold it in place? That's the issue. You almost need it to be textured in order to hold the
It's
ground.
all like a rough area,
Correct.
rough the granite. I can ask him that. I would imagine he had answers since it was an option, but I'll.
And you're also gonna be looking down on it from like the sub, and going into the government center more than maybe looking on site. Can you not polish the top of that too, Brad?
Well, like you said, when you seal the top, it's gonna make it shine.
And we're gonna seal it, does it need to be sealed?
I would almost recommend leaving the polished side up and sealing the 4 inch edge that's underneath. That's gonna be shadowed anyway.
I think so too.
Plus, I just think that rough texture on the bottom is gonna give the grout or whatever type of adhesive they use to stick to the wall. And I meant to catch you before you jump to a different subject, Drew, but I know there was a concern, even my own, when that valve did fail up here on the duty tank, which ran pressure to the ASA tank, which overflowed and caused a drainage of, how many gallons of water do you figure out?
We lost out of the duty tank, we lost 400,000 gallons, but we captured 200 in ASA before it overflowed. So we lost about 200,000 gallons.
And that sounds terrible, but it's on a 17 million
Yeah,
gallon.
we lose a lot more than that leaks.
Well, that's what I'm saying, you know, from a public service standpoint, 200,000 gallons sounds terrible, but we produce roughly anywhere from 15 to 19 million a month, so it wasn't a huge loss. But from a public service emergency standpoint, I think all of us, and all citizens, I think we need to keep in mind possibly coming up with some type of a plan in case we do have a public service emergency or any type of emergency that we can get in contact with our citizens. whether it's through text message, whether it's through whatever kind of system. I know that we talked about that with Kusi. But also the GIS mapping system that we approved, that should translate to whatever, whether we buy a standalone. I know that the management system for the town is a big deal. And we're trying to figure out what the best management system is to go with. But I also believe that while we're in limbo, we need to be looking at how we can reach out to all the citizens in case there is an emergency, whether it's flooding, whether it's water lines, whether it's no matter what, any type of public emergency. So I just wanted to, bring that up to you and to the council. When I found out about that leak, the first thing I thought when I knew that we had to put in a boil alert, I thought, how are we gonna notify all these people when that boil alert's only 7 days until we get 2 bacteria tests back? You can't put it in the paper. By the time you put it in the paper and it runs in the paper, the boil alert's already lifted. So I think it's very important that we figure out how to manage our citizens getting information quickly.
Yeah, we have
The health department gives us criteria we have to meet too as far as notification, right?
the Facebook and website was the criteria they recommended and
So
gave.
we met the criteria as
We met
far
the
as.
criteria and actually went beyond it by calling radio.
Yeah.
And also, we have an emergency response plan at the plant. So we directly contacted any hospitals, restaurants, daycares, retirement facilities, assisted living. We directly contacted them, whether they were on it or whether they weren't on the boil alert. So all of that was in place. Like I said, we also had a program that I looked at a year or so ago when we were talking about possibly doing the upgrade to the water utility billing. I don't know if you remember or not, but it's the text.my.gov. You can buy text messages in bulk so much. And I'm fairly certain it'll be integrated with the GIS system as well. So I still have that gentleman's contact number, so I can also look into him and get a new proposal of what the price was. Like that. So it was a price for a bulk amount of text messages. And only thing is, it's citizen based. You have to send out postcards and ask for
Well,
the.
this would be a great opportunity right here with 120 Water to get updated contact information for 2,400 residents that have water,
Correct.
if that's a possibility.
And at that point, if we haven't made a decision on a management system, then a standalone, one-time text.my.gov. I mean, just like I said, there's so many.
And it
pieces.
wasn't an outrageous price either. It was just, I put a hold on it, and now we're looking at the
Sure.
utility
We
bill,
didn't
and
want
they
to
want to pay for both of them.
Didn't want to double purchase. I completely understand. I just wanted to bring that up because I thought myself, for some of the elderly that's not on Facebook, that don't have the internet or don't use the internet, or people that, there's people in town that don't go to the town website ever.
Yeah, exactly.
How can we improve how we communicate with our citizens? So that's important to me.
Let's see here, I think that was all I had as far as update wise, unless there is any questions. Also have quite a bit of stuff to go over in closed session also.
The bids for Stutes and the substation.
Pump station. Chris Bowen's supposed to have that done, or at least give me an update Wednesday. He's got a meeting too on Wednesday. Him and Isaac will be there.
But the piers at the pavilion here, at the,
So, Mr. Osborne, our engineer, I reached out to him again this week. The mayor reached out to him again. He's had a family emergency, a medical emergency of some sort. He has got back and said he's trying to work nights on it. Tim, or Nathan Brown, also contacted us to let us know that he had a medical or a family emergency and waiting on him right now.
Did we authorize you to go ahead and move forward with those bids?
With the advertisement. was
Okay.
Correct.
You look at those with Billy and Chris and get them out.
The biggest thing we need really is not even to advertise the bids. The biggest thing we need is to show how the footers or the anchors are going to be attached, how the anchoring system is going to be so they can get
and
started.
then we can go.
Correct. We have the outline. We have the outlay of where the footers are gonna be, we just don't have how he wants to make it.
I'm sorry, I was talking about Stutes and,
He's talking about the other projects.
Stoops
and
and
the pump station.
pump station, yeah.
Wait a minute, what was the question you asked about it?
No, I just,
To move forward with like the.
we've already authorized them to get
Advertise
those bids out once they get done. I mean, once Chris, Drew, and Billy have looked at the bids for Stutes.
Both of them are kind of the same thing. I'm advertising for the bid, but also advertising for the RFP, when we put those RFPs out when we get.
For the pump station
When do
and
you think
Stutes.
we'll get those?
I'll find out Wednesday from Chris Mullins.
Okay, all right. Gotcha.
Sorry, Drew.
No, you're fine.
Let our water maintenance guys, not only them jumping on that valve failure, so we appreciate that, but also our water treatment plant. Cleaning water as fast as possible to try to catch back up. I know
Yeah, they
that's
pour that's probably, about 36 hours, 37 hours shift out there to get that thing filled back up, so.
Tell them we appreciate it, because I think a lot of people didn't even know what was going on due to the fact of a very quick response, and those guys working 36 hours straight to make sure that we didn't go on any type of a drought notice.
And to be clear, what it was, the tank didn't get completely dry. We were actually able to capture it, or it would have even been worse, we had to fill it up and disinfect it. We captured water in the tank to keep it from going dry. But when we held that off, if you get less than 20 PSI in a certain percentage of your water lines, then they say that if you have any kind of other leaks or anything in the system, the water can actually seep into the pipes instead of the pressure keeping them out. So that was the reason for the boil notice, but it was on so fast, quite a bit. I was surprised more people weren't out of water than they were, once we started talking to people, but they did a great job.
We appreciate it.
Drew, do you need approval do we need to approve the radios from the fire
For John
department?
Michaels,
Let's see, it's over $5,000.
yes, I forgot about one of his reports. He had
His request?
He had requests, yes.
He had one in for uniforms too.
He had one for uniforms and badges, and also one for, the radios.
And once we
The
approve
class,
this,
the uniforms were not over 5,000, they were 4167, but with it being fire department, if you all want to go ahead and look at that also. I won't object, but also the radios. And I believe that is the second portion, I tried to budget those out.
yeah, I think we got them hold off a couple to the new budget year maybe.
Correct.
And they're the same price, same radios as we've got.
State contract.
Just keeps us up to speed and gives us one extra.
So motion, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah, I'll make that motion, but Drew, just be sure to give the fire department an updated, budget, after we make these purchases.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Thank you for that.
Do you need, have you already moved forward with the uniforms, or you need?
I have not, no, this is just came in John's, report.
That's under 5,000.
That's under
That's
5,000.
under
I'm
5,000.
good with you moving forward with it.
Anything else? Thank you all.
Thank you, Drew. We have a motion to go into closed session, under section 2.2-3711A, personnel, vacancy discussion, legal counsel. Anything else on that list?
So moved, there's no other
Is there a second?
sections that need to go?
Second.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Stand in closed session.
Do you have a question, Mary?
I was just going to tell him you forgot the police report.
I didn't know if you wanted to wait till after.
We'll wait, we got some things we need to address, if you don't care.
You don't want you to run off.
Okay.
Put your hang around there. I'll need you later. Huh?
Got to find out.
I don't think we'll be good long.
Mr. King,
I'm
we're
good.
out.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, Ms. Diane Manley.
Virginia Code 1950, Section 223712. Do you certify that to the best of your knowledge, number one, the town council in its closed session only discussed public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under this chapter, and two, that only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting by the town council. Any member of the town council who believes that there is a departure from the requirements of clauses 1 and 2 shall so state prior to the vote, indicating the substance of the departure that in their judgment has taken place. Mr. Leonard.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Lambert.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Kegley.
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Doty.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jackson.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Gilmer.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Tiller.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Short.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am, any motions come before council at this time?
Yes, Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to hire Michael Reese as a part-time Parks and Rec employee at the entry-level pay.
Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign.
I'd also like to offer a position of water treatment operator to Doug Solons at the rate of $23 an hour.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye. Opposed?
I'd also like to make a motion to promote Patrolman Jason Riggs of the Lebanon Police Department to sergeant at the sergeant rate of $23.32.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye. Opposed, same sign. Any other motions this time? Drew?
So I was gonna bring up with old business for our, the dumpster at Dominion that we mentioned last month. I talked with Shane and Billy and Daryl about it. What I gathered was, Shane had been putting the trash in the back of a truck as they got the trash bags out throughout the day. They'd just been putting them in the back of the town truck, and some animals and birds, and started getting into it. So the fix that Shane and Kevin, I guess they talked with Dominion, decided to put the dumpster at Dominion and use it to clean the parks with. I researched it. They do not pay a $40 a month dumpster fee. They do pay a $17 a month trash pickup fee. I was wrong about the tipping fee. Those aren't charged tipping fees anyway. With the $6 and $8 dumpsters, don't charge tipping fee. Just the $30 and $40 dumpsters are the $100 tipping fee. So where we're at now will be how we want to move forward with it. If you want to remove the dumpster, if you want to charge Dominion the $40 and not use it, or just keep it however you want to do. I know we talked about letting the kids, while their summer workers are here, and they go to Jess Easterly, just bring it on through town to the shop and use it. But then, only problem we're running with that's now when they're all leaving, and there's only a couple people at the rec center. Do we keep running that to the town shop, or whatever you guys want to do?
So we have access to get rid of the community center garbage right here at us.
So take it to the shop, we can take it to the shop. But right now, we're using the
That's what I
dumpster.
was asking.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I asked Daryl to check the next two rounds, and then he checked both times when he ran it, and he said it was about 90% our trash in the dumpster.
90% our trash? Okay.
I did speak to Darrell also about that, Mayor, and I asked him about, was it an inconvenience to get a truck to it? He said, no, actually, it's a really convenient spot. And he said it's even more convenient for them to do that than actually have to drive in there and get it out of the back of the truck. So he seemed to
We
be-
sure don't want it down here.
Sure.
No, we don't.
Like I said, I think if we don't do the dumpster, the fix is whenever they pick it up in the truck, just take it straight to the shop, not leave it sitting there.
Well, I think they're doing us a favor by having it where it is.
They are, but they're doing a disservice to the rest of us that pay for a dumpster.
But they aren't, he's saying that they
Yeah,
don't.
but that's not on our property,
90%.
that's on somebody else's. If there's anybody gets hurt up there, it's gonna be Dominion office supplies. Insurance is going to have to pay out, not the towns.
What's
I
the
said
amount
before,
again?
the reason I brought it up is because they're not paying the dumpster fee, and the rest of us are.
$17 a month for commercial garbage pickup, and then $40 a month
Okay.
for the dumpster rental.
But they
They're
are,
not paying the $40, no, they're paying the
and they don't
17.
want it, I mean, they don't care, I'm sure if it was, I mean, they would still have the $17 and something service, and
Mhm.
they probably wouldn't care if we moved it, it wouldn't
Right.
hurt them.
Yeah, I think that was part of the deal too, was Darryl mentioned that it was kind of a safety hazard. They'd been stopping on Main Street getting it a couple of times a week. Instead of stopping on Main Street, they could get it from behind the building. I guess they had quite a few boxes that they'll pick up a couple times a week.
I'm fine with leaving it the way it is.
What's council's pleasure?
You have anything with that, Kevin? Do you know if one of their guys was on there?
I don't know of any. I mean, is it open to the public or is it just the town and me?
I'm sure somebody drives, I don't see anybody over there dumping trash in it, but I'm sure somebody has trash to park. And if they don't need the can, I guess there's plenty of cans around there.
They do it all the
Cans.
time.
Yeah, they do.
They're doing that all the
Bad
time.
night.
But I mean, as far as Leonard's concerned about getting hurt, if we have,
I don't think with the town being legal liability, but you can check with
versa,
and ask them if there was, but there wasn't any more than for any
Put it
other.
up in some other business. Yeah, what do you think?
To me, I don't think that Dominion would care if we would pull that out. I don't think it would hurt them at all. And if it's helping us and being helpful to our Parks and Rec to do that, I think we need to do it because we sure don't want it down here showing where it has been
Community
before.
center. Brad?
Leave it,
Hmm?
leave it.
Okay. Liza, leave it. Brad, leave it. Leonard,
Move it.
move it. You leave it. And Scott?
We are charging them, they are paying $17 for commercial trash.
Right.
they're paying for the pickup fee, but they're not paying the rental fee.
Gotcha. I'm okay with that.
Okay. Stays until further notice. Well, are you through, Drew?
Yes, sir.
Shane sent me an email over the weekend. We have he's looking at scheduling some events for the theater. One, he's looking at September 23rd, which is a Saturday. If Birds Can Fly is the opening and Maggie Ball is the headliner for $6,000, charging $20 a ticket. And then on Friday, October the 20th, a comedy show. At Opera MC would be Scott Angrave, the John Boy and Billy Radio Show. There'll be another comedian, and that would be at $15 a ticket. What do y'all think?
Sounds good to me.
Gonna try it?
I'm good, but it just, I like to have people that we haven't had before though. I mean, I know that this is a little late in the game and that sounds good, like open up, but
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important. I mean, I don't like having the same people we had in,
Cedar Fest.
Cedar Fest perform within the same, calendar year or within a couple of years.
And I mean, you can find somebody else. Maggie Ball, we had, if you remember, she was at the bicentennial.
But getting out of the gate and getting this thing off the ground and having those contacts, I guess it's important to get who we can
They
get.
have a pretty, first,
Kind of short notice.
have a pretty good following too.
They really do.
We're trying to book people within 2 months and
Yeah.
we gotta do what we gotta
Yeah.
do.
What was the price for, what was it, 1,800 for If Birds Can Fly?
15.
15? What did they charge us for Cedar Fest, 18 maybe? It was just like Drew
I
said.
don't think
they
it
have
was about the same thing, was it? 12 something, 1,200?
Might have been, Mr.
It's
Benoit?
close to the 1500.
They have a pretty good following, plus they do a lot of cover music also. which-
Well, this is gonna tell us,
Sure.
what I'm anxious to see is we're selling tickets for the first time for events.
We just need to,
Shane needs to figure out what that looks like too.
we just need to advertise that
Yeah, yeah.
properly.
So we're gonna try this, y'all good to try it?
Yes, sir.
All right,
I'm good.
all right. Deanna, Leonard,
Yep.
Brad,
Yes.
and Lance, okay. All right, anything else to come before council?
Mayor, if I could just, real quick, just let you
Sorry.
know about one little thing, just in case any of the councilman wants to get any phone calls on it. For this school year, I put in a new policy and enacted a new thing, and we're calling it Handle with Care. And what I've instructed my guys to do is, in case you guys want to get a phone call on it, if any of our guys and gals respond to a house that has a child there at the house, I've asked my guys to get that child's name. And then we're gonna contact Ms. Kathy Gent. I've talked to her at the school board office. We're gonna contact her just with the child's name, and we're just gonna say handle with care. And the reason being is if that child goes to school the next day, after have had a police officer at their house the night before, and they're a little off that day, maybe they didn't get sleep, so they're nodding off or something, they're just gonna have, the teacher's gonna know that the police was with them the night
There's a reason
before,
for it.
so that they will go to that child. They're not gonna know specifics, but they'll just go to that child, and they'll know to maybe say, hey, is everything okay? That way the child's not getting jumped on and falling asleep in class when they
I
actually
understand.
had a bad night. But I kind of figured maybe you guys might get some phone calls, hey, why are the police wanting to know my child's name when we're there for another reason, you know what I mean? But all we're gonna do is just text Ms. Gent and say, hey, such and such name, handle with care, and then the principal and the teacher will know that they were involved in some kind of incident involving the police, so they'll know to kind of treat that child lightly that day.
Are we okay to do that, Kevin? Okay. Thank you. Good plan. All right, anything else?
I'll say.
A motion to adjourn and a second, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you, good meeting.